Okay, hi Sherman Lions out there. Just want to let you know the video you're about to watch is the second time we recorded this because the first time we recorded it, we spent like 2 hours on it and I messed up.
Because someone
I only recorded my own face.
Mr. D.
But these nice kids are not going to give me a hard time about it, are you?
No, we're going to give you a hard time. Spent our afternoons when we could have been doing other things, like catching up on our homework.
Mr. D, you messed it up.
Excuse me.
They spent hours.
We spent hours
playing video games or watching YouTube. No,
when I could have been watching and being a kid self, maybe playing on my swing.
Me so sorry, guys. Me so sorry.
That filter cannot change the way we feel. And don't
forgive me.
Don't try to distract us.
Don't bring Cookie Monster into this. And don't you dare bring Hermione.
How about me? You can't get mad at me.
Yes,
it's me,
I
Hermione.
Can.
Oh man, how am I gonna do the Sherman News at home without any kids? It's ridiculous. It's gonna be impossible. I can't do Sherman News at home without any of the news kids around. Ah, wait a minute. I got a kid right here. Hey, get over here.
What do you mean?
You're a Sherman Lion. You're a Sherman Lion. Help me with the Sherman News.
No.
Where's that other kid, my son?
He's playing Among Us. Leave me alone.
Among Us is more important than helping your father.
Are you
Okay, let's just do the introduction. Ready? All right. You know how to do it. Welcome to the Sherman News, where we give you all the info you need to know to be a Sherman Lion. Roar! All right, see, that wasn't so bad, right? I'm gonna need you later. Don't go too far. Okay. Hey! Yes! Aldo's here! I got a Sherman News kid here to help me. I thought I was gonna do this by myself. What are you doing here?
Hey, Mr. D, don't forget about Where's Aldo?
Yes! Where's Aldo? Everyone loves playing Where's Aldo. Make sure you look out for Aldo in the book today.
Yeah, I photoshopped myself into the book. Look out for me.
Ooh, Photoshop. Oh, you got skills. All right, cool. How many times are you in the book today?
Just once. I have a lot of homework to do.
Oh. Is that my fault? My homework?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, well, we're going to look out for you. I'm going to get started with the book. Thanks, Aldo. Okay, bye. All right, this month's book is called The Oldest Student, How Mary Walker Learned to Read. It was written by Rita, Lorraine, Hubbard, and it was illustrated by Oge Mora. Oh, hey, Esme, what are you doing here?
I heard you talking about the illustrator Oge Mora, and I wanted to educate you about her.
Ooh, educate me. I like that. That's good. Okay, what do you know about her?
Oge Mora is the artist of this book, but she is also an author. She actually has won awards for her books Thank You Omu and Saturday. She grew up in Columbus, Ohio, but lives in Providence, Rhode Island. Her artwork is colorful, patterned, and collaged.
What do you mean by collaged?
Oge makes collages with paper, magazines, newspapers, and paintings.
Wow, these are all really cool.
Hey kids, as Mr. D reads the book, look closely at the artwork. You'll notice it's a mixture of paper cutouts, paintings, newspapers, and magazines.
How do you know so much about her?
I just went to ogemora.com.
Oh, okay, well that makes sense. ogemora.com, check it out everybody. And you can learn more about her and her artwork. She's really cool. Okay, thanks Esme. The Oldest Student, How Mary Walker Learned to Read by Rita, Lorraine, Hubbard, and Caldecott Honor winner Oge Mora. This is the true story of an amazing woman named Mary Walker. She was born 173 years ago in the year 1848, and she was unfortunately born during a time of slavery where African Americans were forced to be slaves in our country. We'll follow her story through her emancipation when she was freed in 1863 at the age of 15, all the way to her death in the year 1969 when she was at the age of 121. You can see some pictures here of Mary. Mary reading her favorite book, the Bible. Mary's first airplane ride. Mary being celebrated on her 99th birthday. Mary at the age of 121 in Chattanooga. Mary reading to her teacher, Helen Kelly. And Helen Kelly presenting Mary with her first graduation certificate, which declares that she can read. Whenever young Mary was tired, she would shield her eyes from the sun, watch the swallow-tailed kites dip and soar above the trees. That must be what it's like to be free, she thought. But Mary didn't watch for long. Even at only 8 years old, she knew the first rule of the Union Springs, Alabama plantation she lived on. Keep working. She knew the second rule, too. Slaves should not be taught to read or write, or do anything that might help them learn to do so. Mary didn't stop working. She didn't learn to read either. But at the end of each long day picking cotton, toting water to Papa and the other slaves who chopped wood for the train tracks or helping Mama clean the big house, she would lie in her little bed next to the crumbling fireplace and think about those birds. When I'm free, I'll go where I want and rest where I want, and I'll learn to read, too. When she was 15, it happened. Mary and her mother, brothers, and sister were free. Emancipation Proclamation said so. What it didn't say was how a family with nothing except the tattered garments on their backs could find food, clothes, and a place to sleep. Mary's father had died, and the family was on its own. Freedom Road to Freedom Road. Across fields and through woods, ex-slaves surged like waves crashing hard to shore. Now that they were free, every road was Freedom Road. Many headed north and west and every which way, searching for long-lost family members or simply experiencing the wonder of being free. Others, like Mary, chose to stay in the South. An organization called the Freedmen's Bureau helped those who stayed to find shelter on abandoned Confederate land. Mary and her family settled in a one-room cabin, and for the next few years she worked alongside her mama to help feed her siblings. 7 days a week, she churned butter, cleaned houses, and cared for other folks' children. The hours were long, and if Mary was thirsty or hungry or needed to use the outhouse, she had to wait until she got home. At week's end, she would offer Mama the only quarter she had earned. One day, Mary met a group of evangelists on the roadside. A woman with soft wrinkles in her kindly face placed a big, beautiful Bible in Mary's hands and told her, "Your civil rights are in these pages." Mary didn't know what civil rights were. She only knew that top to bottom, front to back, that book was filled with words. "I'm going to learn to read those words," she vowed. But not today. Today there was work to be done. And tomorrow, too. When Mary got married, she and her husband worked as sharecroppers, renting someone else's house, using someone else's tools, and planting someone else's seeds to farm land they would never own. After they harvested the crops, almost all the money they earned went to paying for the housing, tool, and seed costs. Mary was 20 years old when her first son was born. She opened her Bible and marveled at the squiggles inside. There had been no time to learn to read. A friend wrote Mary's son's birth date in the Bible, August 26, 1869. Then, Mary dipped a pen in an inkwell and made her mark beside it. Not a letter, not a name, just a mark. It was the best she could do. One day, Mary's husband died. She married again, and a second son was born. Then a third. Mary made marks for these sons too. Now she had 3 grown boys. More money, that's what we need, Mary thought. But the only other jobs available to black women were as maids or nannies or cooks. The hours were long, with only half a day off on Saturdays. And like sharecropping, they didn't pay much. Mary sighed. Words would have to wait. For the next 4 decades, Mary sharecropped and did odd jobs to help support her family. In 1917, Mary's family moved to the little city of Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was the year of Chattanooga's Great Flood. The story was in all the newspapers, but Mary could only study the pictures to understand what happened. By now, Mary was 68 and too old to sharecrop, but she continued to work, cooking, cleaning, and babysitting. She also fried fish, baked cakes, and sold sandwiches to raise money for her church. On Sundays, she would sit in the congregation, and as the preacher spoke, she would clutch her family Bible, the Bible she still couldn't read. When Mary was well past 90, she and her husband sat in their creaky rockers, while one or another of their sons read to them. After the two younger boys died, the eldest read. Then Mary's husband died. Several years later, her eldest son died too. He was 94. Mary had outlived her entire family. She was 114 years old and alone. "Can't read," she said. "Can't write. I don't know anything." Mary stood at the window of her retirement home and gazed down at the world below. Words were everywhere, on billboards, on buildings, on store windows, and trucks. She sighed. All this time, she thought, and they still look like squiggles. Mary had heard about a new reading class held in her building. She pursed her lips. No more waiting, she decided. Time to learn. Out of her apartment, into an elevator, and down to the lobby she went. When the elevator door sprang open, Mary saw people sitting under a sign with a picture of an open book. She could not read the words. A neighbor walked up to her. "That's the reading class, Miss Mary. Can I help you over?" Mary shook her head. Then she gripped her cane, lifted her chin, and walked straight toward that sign. For the next year and more, Mary put everything she had into learning to read. It wasn't easy, after all. She was the oldest student in the class, and probably in the entire country. Could someone her age learn to read? She didn't know, but by God, she was going to try. She studied the alphabet until her eyes watered. She memorized the sounds each letter made and practiced writing her name so many times that her fingers cramped. She learned to recognize sight words, and then challenged herself to make short sentences with them. She studied and studied until books and pages and letters and words swirled in her head while she slept. One fine day, Mary's hard work paid off. She could read. Word of her accomplishment traveled, and people everywhere celebrated her. Chattanooga's mayor, newspaper journalists across the country, and a man from the U.S. Department of Education who said, "Mrs. Mary Walker, I pronounce you the nation's oldest student," all shared her joy. Mary felt complete. She still missed her sons, but whenever she was lonely, she read from her Bible or looked out her window and read the words in the street below. From then on, Chattanoogans honored Mary's achievement with yearly birthday parties. In 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson sent well wishes on Mary's 118th birthday. And in 1969, President Richard Nixon did the same. Mary was now 121 years old. Mary received many gifts over the years. A radio, a sofa, her very first television, a new Bible, the key to the city, and perfume and champagne from the Canadian Mounties. She also received something that brought back those long days in the Alabama cotton fields. Her first airplane ride. From the cockpit window, Mary gazed at the trees and rooftops below. No different than a horse and buggy ride, she joked. But she knew it was. As the airplane dipped and soared like those swallow-tailed kites of long ago, Mary decided that flying was a lot like reading. They both made a body feel as free as a bird. Each year before her birthday celebration came to an end, someone would whisper, "Let's listen to Miss Mary." The shuffling and movement would fade away until not a sound was heard. Then Mary would stand on her old legs, clear her old throat, and read from her Bible or her school book in a voice that was clear and strong. When she finished, she would gently close her book and say, "You're never too old to learn." You're never too old to learn. And that's the story of Mary Walker. Oh, hey, Izel, Frida.
Hey,
It's
Mr.
been so
D.
long since I've seen you.
Yes.
I mean, I
it
saw you
feels
this
like
morning for
ancient-
class, but whatever.
Yes. Anyway, we noticed something in the artwork.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
What'd you guys notice?
Go back to the page where she's looking out the window.
You see how all the billboards where there's supposed to be letters is just all squibblies? It's kind of
Yeah.
like symbolizing that she does not know how to read, so they're just random stuff to her. Now go forward a few pages.
Okay.
Now everything is letters and words. It symbolizes that Mary's learning how to read. She has the power to read and write anything she wants now.
Wow, the artist really put in a lot of detail here. And look at her dress. There's even like letters and words on her dress. That's awesome.
In the other earlier pages where she didn't know how to read, her dress was just a dress, but now it has just little letters in them symbolizing that she knows how to read, so she can wear that badge saying, "Yeah, I know how to read and write."
It's really cool that you taught us about symbolism, all the symbolism in that artwork. It's awesome.
Mhm.
Nice work. Okay, now get out of here. Turn off your camera. Bye. That was a really good book, right, Dahlia?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I think it was a really good story. Which Sherman way do you think it went with?
Perseverance.
Perseverance? Me too. I agree with you. Hey, everyone, we're going to have a Flipgrid to go along with this book. And here's Andrew to tell you the directions. Take it away, Andrew.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the book of the month, The Oldest Student, How Mary Walker Learned to Read. Go to the Flipgrid link down below to record your response and tell us what Sherman way you think corresponds with the book. I think the Sherman way that corresponds with this would be perseverance, because even though Mary Walker didn't know how to read and she was old, she still tried to learn to read, and eventually she did. I also think something that goes with this book is you're never too old to make your dreams come true, just like Mary Walker showed us. Even though she was super old, she still learned to read.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot, Andrew, for those directions. So record a Flipgrid. The link is going to be right here. Record a Flipgrid. Tell us what you thought about this month's book. And you can also still record a Flipgrid for last month's book, The Last Stop on Market Street. Okay? All right, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this month's book. And we'll see you next time. Ready? All right. Thanks for watching the Sherman News, where we give you all the info you need to know to be a Sherman lion. Roar! See? That was fun, right?